My daughter's teacher called her a great student, but it wasn't because of her grades. It started during her senior year. My daughter Ella had always been quiet, polite, artistic, not really the science type. So when I went to parent-teacher night and her chemistry teacher, Mr. Lasker, looked me in the eye and said, "She's one of the brightest students I've ever taught," I blinked. I asked, "Really?" And he smiled in this way that gave me a weird feeling. That slow, almost proud kind of grin you'd give someone you think belongs to you. The thing is, Ella was bombing every other subject, barely scraping by in math, constant migraines, constant absences. But in Mr. Lasker's class, straight A's, perfect attendance. When we got home, I asked her gently, "What's going on with Mr. Lasker?" She laughed too quickly, said, "Nothing. He's just nice." Her hands were shaking when she grabbed the remote. She tried to act normal, but I know my daughter. Something was off, so I told her I wanted to see some of her chemistry work. She froze, said she left her folder at school. That was lie number one. Later that night, I peeked into her room. Her phone was flipped over and she was crying silently. I didn't say anything right then. I just walked away and waited for her to fall asleep. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I went into her phone. She had a hidden folder of messages. They weren't all from Mr. Lasker, but the ones that were, they made my blood run cold. The first few were harmless. "Great job on the quiz," or "You're showing a lot of promise." But then they turned, "Don't tell your dad about our extra sessions. You remind me of someone I once loved deeply. If you ever need comfort, my door is always open." One ended with, "You feel it too, right?" I closed the phone and sat on the floor of the hallway, just breathing. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I didn't want to panic, but I couldn't unsee it either. The next day, I called the school, asked to speak with the principal. I didn't name names yet, just asked what the protocol was for teacher-student texting. She got cagey, said teachers sometimes reach out for academic purposes. I asked if it was appropriate for a teacher to text a student late at night. She said, "That depends on context." Context? I hung up. I wasn't going to get help that way. I confronted Ella again after school, told her I saw the messages. She looked like she was going to faint, sat on the floor, covered her face. Then she told me everything. It had started with extra tutoring. He noticed she was struggling and offered to help after class. At first, it was just questions about chemistry. Then he started asking about her life. Her mom, my wife, died 3 years ago, and that's what he latched onto. She said he made her feel seen. He'd bring her snacks during their sessions. One day, she forgot her sweater, and he gave her his. She tried to return it, and he told her to keep it. "It looks better on you anyway." It escalated slowly. Words that sounded kind until they did. "You're mature for your age. I don't feel this connection with anyone else." Then one day, he hugged her. Not a short, comforting hug, a long one. He held her face afterward and told her she was beautiful. She panicked, tried to stop seeing him, but he threatened to fail her, said she owed him, reminded her he wrote her college recommendation letter, that if she made noise, things would get complicated. She felt trapped, alone. He'd created a bubble around her where he was the only adult she could trust, and the one hurting her the most. I was shaking with rage, but I kept my voice calm and asked her one thing. "Do you still have any proof?" She nodded. She still had the sweater, his texts, even voice memos from tutoring sessions where he made comments that sounded affectionate, grossly affectionate. I made copies of everything and took them to the district superintendent's office. Not the school, not the principal, the district. I told them they had two options: launch a formal investigation or deal with me going public. I wasn't bluffing. I had a friend at the local news station, and I was ready to burn it all down. Within 48 hours, Mr. Lasker was placed on leave. The school called it administrative reassignment, but I didn't stop there. I filed a police report, gave them everything. It wasn't just us. Two other girls came forward when they heard he'd been suspended. One of them had transferred schools last year without explanation. The other had dropped chemistry halfway through the semester. Lasker was arrested a week later, charged with misconduct, coercion, and child endangerment. He pled not guilty. But with the messages, the recordings, and the testimonies, he didn't stand a chance. The principal resigned before the trial. The school quietly sent out an email about community healing sessions. Ella's healing too. She's in therapy now, still jumpy when her phone dings, but she's painting again. Shay.